We have these moments where we're uncomfortable, and if we're going to live with ourselves, what do we have to do? We have to make up a story. Every time we're uncomfortable. What do those stories sound like in life? I'll exercise tomorrow. I'll read to my daughter after this episode of Friends is over. It's just one cookie. He wouldn't understand. Stories. They're all stories. So I want to look at it and recognize, that we have a problem. Because what happens if you become aware of the story? And in the journey that I've been on over the last several years, that's been such a big part of what's going on. It's just being aware of the story. I've been tracking my own comfort addictions and tracking my own stories to try and figure out what happens. What do I do when I'm aware of the story? My daughter Katie, at age 16, thought she was in love with this kid named Robert. She wasn't in love. I made it clear. Right? That's what we do, parents. We make it very clear. You're not in love. She even said, yeah, Dad, all right, I'm not in love. So here's what happens. She's not in love with Robert. Robert's over at the house. And this may sound like I'm from Mars when I say this, but we had a no physical contact rule in our house for our kids, not for my wife and I. Just want to go on the record for that. But here's what happens. Robert's over at the house. And the kids are on the sofa in the family room, and they're playing a video game. I'm walking through the family room and I notice something. Their knees are touching. Now, how uncomfortable is this, right? Do I really want to be that guy who's like, you pull out a ruler, 6-inch separation? How uncomfortable am I? How's comfortable Katie and Robert? It's massively uncomfortable. And I decide I can't handle this, and I just walk on. I just walked on, outside my comfort zone. The shiver of all shivers, right? So I walked on. What do I have to do next? No, before that. What do I have to do next? Rationalize. I got to make up a story. In real time, it looks a little like this. Well, they're playing a video game. They probably don't realize their knees are touching. Why are you laughing at that? Were you 16? Did you know your knees were touching? It was a 45-minute strategy to get to the point where my knees were touching. I know when my knee is touching. And I'm standing right there, and I'm dead to rights, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, sure, that's a story, and you know it's a story. But now I have a problem. Because if I'm aware of the story, am I not uncomfortable all over again? And if I have another discomfort, what else do I have? No, before that. Every moment of discomfort leads to a decision. What am I going to do now? Am I going to accept this? Because here's what happens next. If I accept this behavior, there's only one thing that can happen now. My standards get lower. That's it. That's it. That's the only choice that I have is that, look, my standards are not what I desire. My standards are what I accept. If I accept this behavior is acceptable. That's true for how I raise my kids, for how I run my business, for how I live my life. My standards are not what I desire. My standards are what I accept. I can't let this happen. So I went upstairs and told my wife, and she handled it. So, well, no, it's true. But really, in my defense, I thought the kids would rather hear it from her than from me, right? Right? Thank you. Yes, that's right. This is what happens in these stories. But I want to suggest to you here that there's just so much at stake, because this is really at the core of it. When we give in to our discomforts, when we let that discomfort always cause us to chase that easy path, we fall into there's a really weird phenomenon. The psychologist, the Nobel Prize-winning psychologist, Daniel Kahneman, he calls it the law of least effort. Our brains are constantly trying to conserve energy. We are very efficient machines, and so we always ask ourselves, what is the easiest way to do something? And we're always looking for the easy way. We're always looking for it. And I want to make it clear, the discussion we're having right now, it's not about easy versus hard. It's about easy versus right. It's not about doing the hard thing. It's about doing the right thing. It's not right to make your customer do your job for you. It's not right to leave them high and dry. It's not right to give in our discomforts when we know that there's a better way out there.